Hello, welcome once again to the Powerhouse Woman Show. I'm your host, Monica Pierre. Thank you for joining us. I'm coming to you from New Orleans, and it is raining outside. So I don't know how things are going in your area, but we are live and we're excited to be here today. There's a topic that we're going to tackle and talk about and get perspective on that you may think doesn't relate to you. And I'm suggesting and stating without fear of contradiction, powerhouse woman, that it does. Legacy. Legacy. What are you planting, have planted, and continue to plant and nurture that will live on beyond you? That's what we're talking about, legacy today. And I could think of no better person to talk about legacy than our guest. Our guest today is Julie Vaucresson. If you're from the New Orleans area, if you've been to New Orleans, if you've gone to Jazz Fest, you may have heard about our Creole Sausage Queen. We're talking to her today about what does legacy mean? How does it evolve? How does it live on? What do we, in face of all sorts of trials and tribulations and changes, how do we evolve, pivot, call it what you will? What, when you are faced with what's next for you, do you decide what to keep, what to release, and keep growing? So thank you all for joining us today. We do have someone joining us. Hello there. Hello there. How you doing, Coach Danny D? So before you say this does not apply to me, I challenge you to say and figure out all the ways in which it does. So again, Julie Vaucresson, our Creole Sausage Queen, is co-owner of Vaucresson Sausage Company. She's a television and social media personality. She has her own company. She says she couldn't wait to have her own company and not be the co-owner of something as well. Not that that's a bad thing. Creole Made Easy. She sells a variety of small batch mustards and condiments. She has a cookbook by the same name. So I sat down with Julie, and I talked about the Vaucresson, what this name means, what has been created. And what you will learn too is that it is far more than just making sausage. And Julie, you are the Creole Sausage Queen. Am I to curtsy?
You don't have to curtsy, but please use the correct title.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Your Highness. Your Highness. Absolutely. I love it. We're talking today about legacy and what that really means, because we hear a lot about legacy. People use the word. And let's begin by saying, first of all, everybody rise, because this business, Vaucresson Sausage, has been around for 126 years.
That's correct.
So when you all are with the family and y'all are talking, and of course you all are busy. We just did Jazz Fest in New Orleans. For those of those around the world who are watching the show, you've been very, very busy. Do you all just like catch your breath, clutch the pearls, and say, wow, this is a major milestone?
Yeah, and I think that it's really interesting that you say that, because my kids now are the ones that are really coming to understand everything that it entails. They're the ones that are like, wow, we really are this legacy business. Like you mentioned the Jazz Fest. We're the only original vendor at Jazz Fest. My husband was there at the first one in a bassinet. And we have the only, he's been at every Jazz Fest since. And I don't think anybody can say that besides Quint Davis. And
that is true.
We have the only food, the hot sausage po' boy, that has been at every single Jazz Fest. There's no other food that's been at every one.
That is a milestone. That is a legacy. So let's unpack a little bit, because I want to talk about in general, because not everyone's in the culinary business. Not everyone's making hot sausage. Not everyone has been to every Jazz Fest since it began. A lot of our audience, our powerhouse women, are creating businesses, different types of businesses. They're leaders. They're putting good in the world. They're change makers. They're educators. When do you recognize that what you have built, and of course you weren't around in the beginning, is turning into something more than a family business. That this has something that is of significance that's a part of what you're doing.
Well, I think we've always known it's been something of significance. But I think opening the restaurant, so let me give you a little bit of history of Vaucresson sausage first, for those people that don't know. My husband's grandfather, started the business at the Circle Food Store when it was not a food store, it was a market, and he had a stall there. And that started in 1899. My father-in-law then, he was a butcher and he made sausage. My father-in-law started wholesaling and distributing sausage. And then we took over and we changed it up a little bit because you got to change it to keep it relevant. And we started doing online sales, and we opened a restaurant. The restaurant is Vaucresson's Creole Cafe and Deli. And it's kind of a throwback to the name because my father-in-law opened a restaurant, the first person of color to have a restaurant on Bourbon Street, post-Reconstruction. And it's actually where the Paddle Brine's Annex Bar is. And that was Vaucresson's Cafe Creole. So it was kind of a nod back to that. But when we opened this business, the Creole Cafe and Deli, we totally revamped things, and we have a tagline: culture, community, and cuisine, because it's about all three for us.
Right, right. Let's talk a little bit about when challenges come. And again, there's one thing to say, here's my long range plan. Here's what we hope to do. This is how we're going to evolve. This is how we're going to be forward thinking. But life, as they say, is lifing. And things happen that you did not foresee. Things happen that are at a magnitude that you could never have imagined. And one of them, of course, is Hurricane Katrina. And as you were speaking about a little bit of the history and backstory of Vaucresson, I was thinking about Hurricane Katrina, the fact that your location flooded, and all the things in the memories that were washed away as well. So when you make a decision about what to do after that, walk us through that process of what to keep, what to release, what to change, or what to just decide that maybe, was it ever a moment where you said, well, maybe it's over? You know, this is formidable. Maybe it's over.
We went through that every day. So hurricane, at the time of Katrina, we were doing wholesaling and distributing. We had a huge order that was getting ready to go out to Orleans Parish schools and the prisons. We had 17,000 pounds of meat here at the facility that we lost. So that was 2005. We just came back to this location. It'll be 4 years in November. So it was 2022. So it was that long of deciding what to do, how we were going to do it. And we came back, we do boutique processing of sausage here, but we came back with the cafe and deli. So there was a lot of, oh gosh, how do we keep going? We knew we had to keep going with the sausage. So we did that on a small scale. We still supply places like Dookie Chase, who's been buying sausage from us for over 80 years, and other restaurants, but it was just limited until the pandemic hit, actually. That's what made us start doing more direct-to-consumer sales, because restaurants shut down. So we needed to find a mechanism to still be relevant and active in the community, and that's how we did it. But I think that was a tough thing for everybody, determining what to do, what to keep, what to get rid of, and how to proceed. And I think we did it well and with grace.
Yes, with grace. As Julie was talking and speaking and sharing, I started thinking about all of us. We all go through something. Again, we have planned, there's something that we want to do, we're excited, but mom gets sick, the contract doesn't come through, there's a change somewhere, or you might have to pivot. You may be shown the door. You may have your hand on the knob and you say, you know what, time to get out of here. So think about those moments. And if you especially are on the other side of that moment, no matter how long it's taking, because sometimes it's not magical and it doesn't happen overnight, it may be many, many years. But where are you now and what did you do? You might have to go back and remember, what did you do? How did you get on the other side? What decisions did you make? What choices did you make when others were saying, I don't know if I would do that if I were you? But you knew that this was something. How did you pivot? How did you make a change? And as we continue our conversation with Julie Vaucresson, we're going to talk about that, and particularly what may be holding you back. And she's going to have a reference that she's going to talk about casings. Those of you who've made sausage or boudin, if you're from Louisiana, you know the role that casings play. So she's going to talk about that and how important it is to either think outside the box, do something different, give it a chance or a shot. So let's continue our conversation with Julie Vaucresson. And Julie, you are the Creole sausage.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I always say that it was a thing in my book that I mentioned, because I have a cookbook that I wrote in honor of the 126th year, that we had to think outside the casing. And not to the sausage. We had to think outside the casing and pivot in a lot of different ways to stay relevant and to do different things. One of the biggest things, and I don't even know if you know this, but I did start a line of mustards and condiments. After the festivals, we started looking at all the books and seeing how much we were spending on that. And I told my husband that we should do our own line of condiments, because what is sausage is a dipping food. So he was like, great, I think it'll be a great little project for you. To say less, I hired a recipe developer, a food scientist, developed a line of condiments that go with our sausage, but are standalone products as well. And I started my own company because I didn't want to just be the co-owner of with him. So I started my own company and I private label all the condiments for Vaucresson Sausage Company. And I think that was one of my biggest think outside the casing on finding a niche, finding something that would be relevant and that would help not only sustain the business, but enhance it as well.
Would you say that one of the things that worked well, not only for your family, but for you, particularly as a powerhouse woman, is resiliency, but also flexibility to, like you say, think outside of the casing and say that, why not? Is that part of your philosophy?
Absolutely. And I think everybody should do that, because you never know what life is going to throw at you, like the pandemic or a hurricane. You just don't know. And so you have to be able to think outside the casing. And for those of you that don't know, the casing is what the sausage goes in.
But the sausage is stuffed into.
Right.
But isn't sausage, no matter what country or culture, there's some form of something similar when it comes to sausage?
Yes, like the hot sausage is chorizo. In Mexico or in Latin countries, it's chorizo. So yes, it's and we call it sausage. So yes.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is your cookbook, and you are just you're a media person. If you go to your Facebook page, you got your rapping, you're singing, you're doing all sorts of things. You just seem so comfortable in your casing, even though you're not limited and boxed in by your casing. How did all of these wonderful ideas and interesting ideas come about as Creole Sausage Queen?
You know, it's interesting because the Creole Sausage Queen came about because I'm an introverted extrovert. I can turn it on, and that's when I become the sausage queen, and I can speak in front of a large group of people. I can rap. I can do all these things, do the cooking segments live on TV. I thought that was going to kill me in the beginning because it's live. There's no room for error. I know you're familiar with that. But it was, I remember Beyonce talking about how she's so shy and that she would become Sasha Fierce and she'd be able to go on and perform. that's what the Sausage Queen is for me. Whenever I can turn it on and I can do it. And I think that it's a great defense mechanism, I guess, for a better term, I lack for a better term. But the ideas are all organic. And I think that's what people can see. They come about just kind of ping, and we do it. And people have really, really responded well to all the shenanigans, for lack of a better word. The rapping, the dancing. Yes, and everybody's involved. My 87-year-old mama is in every one of those videos. Yes, if you go back and look at some of them, she's in all the videos. She loves it. So it's been a wonderful thing for the family and our following. Our they like it too. So it's been great.
One of the things that I've heard you talk about just recently when you were part of a panel discussion is mutually beneficial relationships. And you tell the story about you signed up for a program and it's pretty much you were the one to go. And of course, like all the things I have to do now, I'm going to this extensive a program, but a relationship was formed that it was also a partnership. Talk about that.
So with the Propeller, that was the program that we participated in, and my husband signed up for us to go, but of course I was the one that actually went every Tuesday for 2 hours. Really, I have to do this every evening, but it was wonderful because we met so many people there. The cohort, we have established relationships with them. We've done business dealings with them, and that has been great. In addition to that, here at the cafe, I started allowing women-owned businesses to come in and do pop-ups. And they would come, sell their wares, and we wouldn't charge them anything. We would just allow space, allow them to tap into our following. And from one of those relationships, that's how we got our chef here at the restaurant. People responded really well. Her business acumen was the same as ours. So we aligned, and now we've taken the restaurant to a whole nother level, and it's been a wonderfully mutual beneficial relationship.
Wow, that is very powerful indeed. So I know so many things that Julie Vaucresson has said resonates with so many, no matter where you are. And there's so many powerhouse women in particular who are feeling a certain kind of way. For whatever reason, it's time to change, time to pivot, time to get out of the casing, time to do something different. And you're feeling a certain way about it. You might be feeling sad about it. You might be feeling angry about it. This stage in your life when you've done all the things that you were told or led to believe were the things to do. And now you're at this moment of changing, making the decision to change. So as Julie was speaking, some things popped in my mind. I'd like to share with you my reflection. And one of the things that really stood out is when she basically talked about, this is Julie talking now about the idea of legacy is not static. Legacy is not static. It isn't something that you inherit necessarily or is passed down. You build it one time, you plant the seed one time, you water it, look at it, wish it well. It's something that must be intentionally sustained so you can adapt, so you can carry forward through every season of change. This is another season of change for so many of us, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel necessarily familiar, but it is, because there are seasons of life. So I'm not trying to minimize it one bit. This can be scary. It can be difficult. You get tired, but I know something that's true. And I remind myself as well, we have been through seasons before and we found a way to get through it. So many of you are thinking, powerhouse women, that this is now, you're tired of complaining about it. You're tired of fussing about it. If it's to be, if it's to survive, it's to evolve, it's to change, then it may mean some pivoting. It may be necessarily pivoting, but knowing that you're not abandoning your purpose, you're going in another direction. You're getting and thinking outside of the casing, as Julie talked about. It requires you to evolve. What was working and what was necessary 126 years ago for the Vaucresson is different today. So also what stood out is community. We can feel all alone. We can feel that no one gets us, no one's helping us, even though we may have been there for everybody else. But part of the legacy, a big part, is community. One of the pillars there. It's not just accomplishments and achievements, it is relationships, it's impact. And I'm just going to throw in a plug for Storymaker Academy. I started this program, it'll be 5 years next year, to help women, entrepreneurs, not just women, but entrepreneurs and leaders and people who want to take their speaking to the next level. But it evolved into relationship and impact and cohorts that stay together 4 years later, 2 years later. It's amazing. It is, because anybody, I'll be honest, right? You can Google, you can get an AI, and you can necessarily have everything you need as far as the mechanics and the how-tos. I'm not the only one. I think I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not the only one. But community, a support system, someone and folks who will show up for you, fly in for you, that's the difference maker right there. So think of it as relationships, impact, and who you pour into and who pour into you as well. So it's not separation, it's incorporation as well. And legacy isn't just for entrepreneurs and leaders. Yes, it's a movement. Absolutely. It's a movement. It's a movement. And when people say that, do not take that lightly. Don't you be on the other side of the street rolling your eyes thinking like, oh, movement. It is. I have seen it up close and personal. I have felt it up close and personal. So it is legacy. It looks like leadership, but it's mentorship. It is movement. It is all of those types of things in addition. So before you start thinking that it's all been for naught, it hasn't. I don't know what the answer may be for you right now, Powerhouse Woman, as you look at what you need to release, look at what you need to change, look at what you need to do differently. But no, it is necessary. The legacy is for you, for your family, and for the world. That is our show for today. Again, it's all built on being intentional. I hope you definitely have heard something that is amazing through relationships, resiliency, and courage. And I'm going to leave you with this question and let you know, number one, the Powerhouse Woman Show is for you. Storymaker Academy, we go through this together, helping you with your story, helping you make sure that you have what you need in order to tell it because you're the best person to tell it. And here's what I'm going to leave you with when it comes to legacy. What will continue because of you? What will continue because of you? That's legacy. Thank you for joining us. We will talk to you next time on the Powerhouse Woman Show. Bye-bye now.